words who believe me, okay?
Yeah.
But, God damn it, now you did it at the wrong time, Dylan.
Wait, no. This is for the people in the youth pastor guy, because now you said the Egyptian Book of the Sun, right? Or the dead.
Well, it's not called that, and I read the English translation. I didn't read the whole thing. You don't really have to read the whole thing, and saying that, oh, you didn't read the whole thing, blah, 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 that's semantics, okay? I didn't have to read the whole thing, okay?
All right.
Here's the thing. You can squarely read most of the book or some of the book, and then you could look at the Bible, or even just know about stories in the Bible, and make some connections that you're like...
Well, my dad and I looked into it. We looked into the story, and it's not really that similar to the story of Jesus or God, really.
Well, no, it is, Dylan. You know why? You know why it is, Dylan?
Why?
Okay, you're forgetting one key factor. Are you ready for this?
What is that?
Okay, what do all these religions in the desert have in common?
What?
One God.
Okay. One God?
The Egyptians were the first people to worship. They were the first people to have that idea, okay? And actually, the story of the Great Flood, it's in there, okay? If you keep reading, it's in there, okay? Like, basically, the major stories of pestilence that you see in the Old Testament, most of them are in there, okay? You really need to read closely. And also, like I said, monotheism starts with Egyptian sun worship. You don't believe me? Look up monotheism and look at the religions by the date that they happened, okay, in order. The Egyptian Book of the Sun seems to be the first thing in the list, which means that the idea of, like, one God, or even the idea of God at all, was just a bunch of people plagiarizing bullshit. They just copied off of each other. Like, it was the same thing with, like, the Romans. Like, the Romans just, they copied off the Greeks. They were like a lot of the Roman gods are the same as the Greek gods. You get what I'm saying, Dylan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense if you think. I mean, I'm not saying that the Egyptian Book of the Sun, like, directly copies anything, but it's like the same idea. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, it can be assumed that the God that is mentioned in Islam, the God that's mentioned in Christianity, and the God that's mentioned in Judaism, as well as the God that's mentioned in the Egyptian Book of the Sun, they're all the same God. It can be squarely asserted that they are all the same God. So, basically, when you're worshiping, I mean, isn't it funny, right? I mean, just look at the personification of Jesus Christ, right? He is the Son of God, rising from the grave with his crown of thorns. It sounds like there's a lot of imagery there. Think about what I'm saying, Dylan. There's some imagery there. Literally, Jesus is a personification of the Son of God. That's what's going on there, Dylan. They literally took the story. Now do you see how it's similar? Now that I explained that, now do you see how it's not exactly on the right track, but it's getting there? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so now what I want you to do right now, so my youth pastor, now do you have any questions, or do you want him to provide any counter arguments to anything that you've said so far? Anything?
Do what now?
Do you want the pastor that I'm gonna show this to provide any counter arguments?
I mean, he can do it, but I mean,
okay,
he
so
can do it. Yeah, sure, he can do it, but
what
I mean, all he's gonna do is talk in circles and give me rhetoric, like everybody else that argues with me about this. He's just gonna give me rhetoric.
What is there anything you have to ask him? Anything you have to say?
What do I have to ask him? Okay, yeah, where's the bathroom in his church? Does he have a bathroom there? I really could give a fuck. I mean, honestly, Dylan, I've heard every side of this argument, I'm pretty sure. Like, I've heard pretty much every side of this argument, and it's just, the only scientists, I should say, who subscribe to this are just absolute nobodies, pretty much. They're just absolute, like, the rest of the scientific community basically thinks they're crazy, okay? So, I don't know what to tell you.
What do you think about, now this guy's a little far-fetched and out there, I think you're gonna laugh, but, what do you think about Ken Ham? What do you think about that?
I think about what?
Ken Ham, the guy who debates against Bill Nye, the Australian guy.
I don't pay attention to all these people, Dylan. I try not to.
Alright, so
I don't really like Bill Nye. I don't really like Bill Nye that much because he bills himself as a scientist when he's an engineer. So that's kind of, which is similar, but it's not the same. And it's nothing to scoff at, but it's still not the same thing. And not only that, he's like an action movie scientist. Like, he's not even like he's a fucking entertainment scientist. Like ripping on Bill Nye. That's not a good example of ripping on a good scientist. Like, Bill Nye is like fresh meat. Like, if I got into an argument with Bill Nye, I would just kick his ass, okay? He would not be able to hold an argument with me. He's a TV scientist. He's on TV for a reason, so he's not in front of a chalkboard doing useful things, okay? There you go. I mean, same thing with Dr. Phil. He's a TV psychologist. He's not real. He's bullshit.
So a lot of these TV people are just there for
I'm not
views.
saying all of them are. Like, Professor Hawking definitely knew what he was talking about. There's a lot of people on TV I can think of that like that.
Well,
like that Michio Kaku guy. He definitely knows what he's talking about.
Okay, so they
But Bill Nye the Science Guy, he's there for entertainment. That's all he's there for. Like,
okay, here's another thing.
I'm not saying he's dumb. He has achievements as an engineer, and that's nothing to scoff at. But, like, dude, the guy is more about just being on TV. Like, why do you think most of the things he talks about are just seem like they're kind of like, oh, we're going to make a toilet explode by doing this science-y thing? And that's because people want to see toilets explode, okay? They want to be entertained. Okay, Dylan?
Okay, here's another thing, though, right? Stephen Hawking tried to argue that because that there was no time didn't exist before the Big Bang, God couldn't have had time to make the Big Bang happen. But the Christians argue, well, that's false because God is infinite. God exists outside of time and space.
Yeah, Dylan. Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
Yeah. Well, you know what, Dylan? You remember what I told you about existing in the gap between the borders? Remember what I told you about that?
All right.
Okay, so if you exist outside of time, how are you going to interact with something that exists in time? If you're outside of the frame border, if you're outside of any frame on the entire multiverse, right? Like, let's say you're in the gap of the border, right? Okay, congratulations, you've hacked the universe, and you can't do anything now. Everything's gone. So basically, if something were to escape the timeline, it would literally destroy the entire multiverse. So literally, even if God escape the timeline, it would literally break the entire multiverse. Like, you heard what I told you earlier. If there was a way to escape every single frame of the multiverse and exist in some gap between those, somehow that would break something. Like, you'd be selecting a null region of memory. Like, you would literally crash the programmer. I don't even know what would happen. But it would definitely do something. I'm not even saying that's possible, but I basically said if God exists outside of time, then that means nothing exists simultaneously. The input signal stops right there. Nothing can exist outside of time. It's just, I don't know what to tell you, Dylan. I mean, I want you to try to with JavaScript, right? I want you to try to select with document.querySelector. I want you to try to select an element. Try to select an element that doesn't exist, okay? You're going to get in console undefined.
You claim that nothing exists outside of time.
I'm saying you can't select a region in time that's not defined. I mean, how do you select something that's not defined?
You said that we could compare the universe to a computer, but we can exist outside of a computer. So what you're saying?
Oh, Dylan, no. I know where you're going with this, and it's ridiculous. Okay, yeah. Okay, there's some things in the universe, okay, that seem to be godly. Okay, that's why I bring up the word primordial, because they seem to be godly. Okay, are you with me, Dylan? That doesn't mean they are godly. Doesn't mean they are. They just seem that way. Remember what I told you earlier? The primordial that created us must be very, very afraid we're going to hack his program, Dylan. Because think about this: if you were a programmer and you were going to build something that you knew was going to like way outgrow you and get super intelligent, right? You must, on some level, be very afraid of getting fucked in the ass. You know? Why do you think? Also, I wanted to bring something up. Now, you know what else? Now, that's one thing that I think will be kind of true about the Bible. As I said, not everything in the Bible I think is bullshit. But one thing I will think to say is kind of true about the Bible, at least abstractly, not literally, the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel. Hold on, think about it, right? Okay, so we're building this tower to the heavens. And, you know, it says that we're not worshiping God correctly, but that's bullshit. You know what that sounds more like? That sounds like God was scared. God was like, oh, fuck, they're building this fucking tower. They're going to try to overthrow me. You know, so actually that story is kind of indirectly true. It's not literally true, but it's indirectly true, as in, I guarantee you that on some level, whatever put us here must be very, very afraid that we're going to break something, okay? Because he doesn't even know. Like, he doesn't even, as the programmer, you don't even know, like, you know how they say it's impossible to make an unhackable system, Dylan? It's impossible to make an unhackable system, Dylan. It's literally impossible, okay? So that should account for the multiverse as well. So what I'm saying is that if God was perfect, that means the program would be perfect. Like, the program we're living in would be perfect. That's clearly not the case. There's no such thing here, okay? I mean, if you were an engineer who's perfect, right, wouldn't you want to make something that's just as good as you are? Why would you want to make something that's less than you? You know what I mean? Why would you, what's even the point? You would be completely alone. Think about what I'm saying, right? So let's say you're this all-powerful being, right? And so you're going to create these people that are lesser than you, right? And you know what's going to happen, Dylan? You're going to be all alone in the universe. You know why? You're going to be the only omnipotent being in the universe. You're going to be the only all-powerful being in the, you know how lonely you would be, Dylan? You know how lonely God would be? And I don't even care if he's all-knowing. You know how sad he would be being the only of his kind? Like, I don't think you understand, Dylan. Things don't work that way. If God were like that, he would be like, we would literally have a suicidal God right now, okay? I'm telling you. Like, you know how lonely you would be if you were the only thing in the universe that was like you? Especially to that extent, having all the answers at the same time. The way that people understand God in the Bible can't be what it actually is, Dylan. It just can't be. I'm not even saying it's not completely a thing, but it just can't be what the Bible says. It can't be what any religious text is saying. The only religious text that even gets close to what I'm talking about is panpsychism, and even that's not quite what I'm talking about. Are you following me, Dylan?
No.
Panpsychism, consciousness is a primordial feature of all things. I believe that on an abstract scale, as in, do I literally believe that a rock is like immediately conscious in all situations? No. Do I believe that a random rock can accidentally solve a problem just by mistake? Absolutely. You know, I mean, for instance, I know this is kind of a stupid example, but, you know, suppose somebody, you know, throws a rock and it accidentally hits Kim Jong-il and kills him. You know, they didn't even mean to hit Kim Jong-il, but he killed him. There you go, you solved the problem. We got rid of a rat, guys. He's dead, okay? So, I mean, yeah, you know, random shit can solve a problem sometimes. So I'm saying on some level, on some abstract level, that chaos itself is what the universe, chaos and order. Like, okay, those are the two main ruling factors for every primordial. There's chaos and then there's order. And you can't have either without both. You need both to have either one. Sort of like,
You said that chaos always comes to order, right? So let's say that I drop a plate in the floor and it goes from order to chaos. But you said that chaos always brings it back to order. Well, why doesn't the plate miraculously come back to order?
Okay, Dylan, okay? It takes a long time. I want you to slam number keys right now, okay? It takes a long time. Like, you're not instantly going to get a result. Now, I said yesterday, if you slap a table, you know, there's an infinitesimally small chance your hand's going to fall through the table somehow. You're not going to get that result the first time you do it, Dylan. I guarantee you, just like you said, like, it's bullshit that lightning won't hit the same place twice. So what I'm saying, Dylan, is that from chaos comes order. Sometimes lightning does hit the same place twice. Think about what I'm saying. I mean, or at least relatively the same place. So, what I'm saying is, Dylan, chaos will always become fucking order, okay? It just takes time. You have to run it over trials. Like, how do you think AI works, Dylan? You know how much the RAND function is used in a basic AI? Like, literally the random function? It's literally a function that generates random numbers, Dylan. Like, what do you think that's doing? That's simulating chaos, okay? And that chaos will find order. It will find order. You need to just learn neurophysics and come back to me and be like, oh shit, he's right.
Yeah. So you think that God is a primordial, or that primordials that existed at the beginning, and they set out to create. So what are primordials now? Is primordial?
What are primordials? Okay, primordials are processes that happen to be neural analogous, or they happen to have parts. They happen to have parts that are part of your brain. So, for instance, the primordial who invented the library, whatever process was responsible for that, and I use the word primordial, and he or she, I use that as to personify them to make this easier to understand, not because they're actually people or anything like that, but you get where I'm going with this, so that's just easier to say than saying it or something.
Hi, Dylan.
Yeah.
Dylan, why are you recording?
Because I'm having a serious discussion with Marshall and I have to show it.
It literally says Dylan is recording, and I was like, what the fuck?
It's for a counter fucking argument. Why are you calling me like twice or 3 times?
Because I'm bored.
Alright, well I'm having a serious discussion here, so you can stay if you want. Anyway, Marshall, so Primordials.
He's on hold. Well, it says he's on hold.
God damn it. Chloe.
What? I didn't do nothing. I'm bored, and I want to join in the serious discussion.
You don't know anything about what we're talking about.
That's why I need to listen and learn. See, Marshall is basically like a teacher because he's just really, really smart. He's old enough to be a teacher, so he's basically a teacher and we're the students.
Okay.
Or you're the substitute teacher and I'm the student.
Alright. Yeah, I guess that's a good way to look at it. I don't know. But I'm just trying to grasp what he's talking about.
So what are you talking about?
He's basically talking about, okay, so I'm a Christian, but he's not, so he believes in something else.
So is he like an atheist or some shit?
No, he believes in something called primordials, like less intelligent entities creating more intelligent, and I believe something.
Oh, why are you recording?
It's like higher because I'm showing. So I go to Bible study every week, once a week, and so we just provide counter arguments against them.
Is this going on your YouTube? Can this go on your YouTube? I want to be YouTube famous.
Sure.
Yay! I saw the little Marshall call thing you uploaded.
All these videos go to YouTube, but I haven't really told him exactly that they are, which you probably blab your mouth in that they are, so it doesn't matter.
So you've been recording Marshall without Marshall knowing?
I mean, no, I've been recording with him. I have been recording him with him knowing. It's just I don't know if he knows he's been on YouTube or not. He probably does.
Oh my fucking god!
I just don't want him to get mad and he's upset that I put him on YouTube.
He probably wouldn't get mad because it's Marshall, you know, and he's just a giant troll. I don't think he'd get mad. I don't know. I don't think he would because that's like. I don't know. So you got 2 subscribers. I'm gonna go subscribe to you actually. Hold on. Dylan, I'm subscribing to you. Dylan. Hey Dylan. Hey Dylan.
Yes.
Nothing. I can't find your YouTube. There's so many Dylan Fords. I found you. I subscribed.
You see all the videos I have?
Hoedown, Throwdown. Emerge event. Dirty Dancing. Marshall vs Skype Locals. Marshall vs Skype Locals Part 2. Oh, was JoJo in that call? Skype call with drunk dude. Skype fresh quit in less than 30 seconds.